Hello and welcome back to the Otakuology Podcast. I'm your host, Otaku Mike, and with me as always is Jen Graves. And today,
Gravy.
Jen Gravy, and we're talking about My Happy Marriage, episodes 7 and 8. We are halfway through watching this show at the moment.
Are there 16 episodes?
No, there's like 12 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's 12 episodes. There's 12 episodes in an OVA for season 1.
Okay. So we're a little over that.
Yeah, like halfway-ish, kind of. Yeah.
We're over the halfway point.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Even though season 2 was announced a couple of days ago.
Oh, let me add something to that.
Okay.
So I saw this little thing that was an advertisement that October 10th, something for Delicious Dungeon. I was like, oh, shit. Season 2's coming out. I'm looking at it. It's not for season 2. It's for... they're adding Delicious and Dungeon characters to some kind of mobile game, and I was so heartbroken.
I thought you were gonna say the box set, the manga box set's coming out.
No, it was something because it was in gold letters and it said X Delicious and Dungeon. And
Yeah, it's always.
I'm so upset.
You see that X? It's always for a fucking mobile game.
Yeah, so I'm like, I hate y'all. Like, why? Why would you pull that shit on me? Like, just give me season 2, okay?
Yeah, I mean season 2 is coming. It's coming eventually.
Just like winter.
Winter
is coming.
Coming on these nuts. What?
You sick. So let me start with a little story today too, to get us worked into this. So usually at work I wear scrubs, right? Only because like I work around different machinery, and so like since it's pretty like form fitting, like I won't get caught on anything. And I had an interview today, and so I dressed up real nice, everything buttoned down, all that.
Wait, is this related to the episode?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay.
And so I walk in, and my coworker looks at me and goes, "Hey, champ, you ready for your first day of school?"
And
I just look at him and I went, "What the hell does that mean?" So I too have felt like Miyo after, I almost called him Kubo, gave her these new kimono dresses.
Oh. Okay.
I felt spitting.
You mean Kenichi?
Yeah, I felt like I
was... No, not
like,
Kenichi. It's not Kenichi, is it? Kiyoka. I don't know why I said Kenichi. It's Kiyoka.
I don't know. Questions for questions.
But I have to say, this first episode was pretty good.
Oh, most definitely.
It was pretty good. And I feel like it hits pretty hard in some aspects. Like, I feel like we are ending one story arc and moving into another.
I agree. I only had one problem with this episode. Some of the things seem like it was forced. That was it. Yeah, I don't feel like some of the things happen naturally. Like, I enjoy that they happen, but they just didn't seem like it was natural.
Okay.
Especially like how some of the characters are. That was my only complaint with this. Now, like I saw it happen in the same way. I just thought that there would be like a few different things that would lead up to whatever it was that was happening.
Okay, well, let's get started talking about this episode.
All right. And then important announcement at the end of the show.
Okay.
So you remind me of that, okay?
Okay, important announcement at the end of the show.
Yeah, you got it, Pony Boy.
Okay, thanks. Stay golden.
Exactly. So we go into this with a request from Miyo that she would like to basically revisit the Saimori household. Uh,
Yes.
and that she basically wants to have this thing. She wants to go back and really see it, which we think it might be for a few other underlying things, but I don't think that's what it was.
I think I know what it was for, and when we get to that, I really want to talk about it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I actually had two complaints about this.
Okay.
So, and it's only because of what we were led to believe in the last episode.
Okay.
Because, when they first get there, it's all sunny outside and everything, and they look over everywhere, right? Everywhere.
Yeah.
To see if they can find her when she's in the storehouse, right?
Yeah.
And this gives us a really good view of what the estate looks like.
Yeah.
Tell me why there's that whole big mansion complex thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one fucking storehouse on the whole entire property. So when we started watching it, and then they go, oh, yeah, well, it's actually dusk now. They've been looking so long. I thought this place was huge.
Oh, yeah.
To see that and go, this place isn't really that big.
So,
it's not as big as we thought.
I have a couple of questions regarding this in this anime at this part. So
Yeah.
Kiyoka is talking, and he's basically like, "Oh, the Saimoris fired most of their servants. They've went off to go to their other house in the country." And we find out that Koji's dad gets like thrown out or like of his households, basically, or his family.
Yeah, he got taken down from head.
Yeah, and Koji's brother.
Not Kizuya. Kizuhana?
Is it?
It's like Kizu.
Kazayushi? Was that it?
Kazauchi?
Kazauchi?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was Kazauchi.
He's gonna be Kazu right now, okay?
Yeah. And so he takes over under the guidance of the Kudo family, which is under the guidance of Kiyoka. So my thing is, where did the dad go? Like, what the hell happened to him? Because they were just like, he left. Like,
I would say,
and no, basically, criminal charges are being pressed on him at this point.
I would say either now given, I hear what you say.
Yeah.
I would not say that there's not criminal charges being placed on him. I would just say publicly there are no criminal charges being placed on him. Because the Saimoris are taking full brunt that something happened where their house burned down. Okay.
Yeah.
But they aren't able to say that it was because of the Koji's dad.
Yeah.
But that also, like I said, doesn't mean that he is not somewhere paying for what he did / what happened.
Well, the thing is, like, I was really confused because they just lightly touched on that part.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They said both of these things of why all these characters disappeared, and it was like, why?
Which I do feel like, I do feel like in order to move on to the next, I guess, story arc, we need to remove the quote villains of the story at the moment. I feel like so they don't necessarily overstay their welcome, I feel like. If you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because we get the I think it's a big revelation.
Yeah.
A big revelation that Kaya is being sent off to go work as a servant in a home. And it's a really strict home. And Kiyoka is like, she needs some like life experiences, basically. Like, she's being sent off.
Yeah.
Do you think like Mr. Saimori sent her off, or like somebody else sent her off?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure it was. Oh my god, name
Kiyoka?
Kiyoka. I'm pretty sure Kiyoka did it.
Like, okay.
I'm pretty sure he basically did that as a punishment slash for her to get more under control and understand
Mm-hmm. Because
because
we.
she's been this spoiled brat basically all her life
Uh-huh.
and has no idea how to handle anything and whatnot. Um, I mean, basically, the other thing for me in this episode is everybody, even though we did have characters that were in it,
Mm-hmm.
everybody kind of like we mulliganed, I would say,
Yeah.
because now we only have Kiyoka and we have Mio. Those are basically our only two, and the household that pertains to them, everybody else has gotten taken off the board
Yeah, which is really interesting.
because Koji's going to train more. So when the next time we see him, I'm sure he'll be a better magic
Which
user.
I wanna touch on that part.
Okay.
So we get the scene where Kiyoka, not Kiyoka, Kaya. Kaya
Kaya.
is so what?
I was trying to name people for
Uh,
you.
sorry, Kaya. We get the part where Kaya is she has all her stuff laid out on a bed, like all her kimonos, pictures, I think like a notebook or something like that.
Yeah, she's
And
got 3 kimonos.
she has 3 kimonos, and she's looking at all of her stuff. And Koji shows up, and he's like, "Look, everything's gonna be okay. We can bring the Saimori house back to what it is, but we have to work on it."
Yeah,
And
we
she's
can rebuild
basically, yeah, we have to rebuild it. And she's like, leave me alone, basically. And we get this scene where he's like, is that all the stuff you're taking?
it. Yep.
And I was like, revenge is a dish best served cold.
So I did the same thing.
I was like, fuck yes.
It's like, oh,
Oh,
how the mighty have fallen.
yes. Yeah.
Um, but in this scene too, I did get a little upset for Koji because even though he doesn't want to be with her or whatever, he's still trying to work it out and like
Yeah.
plan his life with her for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now that your father's gone, like you don't have to own up to this. Like you don't have to stay in
Yeah.
this. And it irritates the shit out of me that that's the way that this anime is going.
Unless he was told to stay with her.
I doubt it.
Because I mean, like, I get it, like, their house burnt down, but like, they still have to have like money.
I'm just gonna say, oh, you mean Kaya's family, the
Yeah,
Samoris?
yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, they did take a big loss. Like we did get it where they told us like basically there wasn't a lot.
yeah,
Like basically after that estate was damaged, like they've lost a lot of stuff.
yeah.
I mean, and that's not to say like that was their main house. Everything
Mhm.
else, I mean, obviously their house, their summer home or whatever it is, probably isn't really that big. Like it's probably just a small one for winter or something
Mhm.
or whatever. Obviously, there's not that much. So for your main establishment and residence that probably had like all your good belongings and stuff to have like completely burnt to ash, like
Yeah.
obviously there's things there.
Like now going forward, though, I would like to see eventually like where they are at in their lives,
I
and
agree.
possibly if they repent for their vicious doings,
For their transgressions.
for their transgressions. Like I would like to see that. Maybe Mia will finally get that apology that we will see eventually. I don't know.
I
But
completely agree with that. I would like to see that happen, but I am unsure if we will see that happen.
yes, we'll have to see. We'll have to just wait and see. But I love this scene where they're walking through the remains of the house, basically of the compound or whatever, and they go up to Mio's mom's cherry tree, and she like touches it, and there's like a ripple effect of like magic, and it just crumbles down, like the rest of it just crumbles. And Koji talks about, oh no, sorry, Kiyoka talks about how, he felt like he was careless, and he could have done better to like basically preserve the house, basically,
Yeah.
and like not damage. And we see Miyu, and she's like, no, like you had to do it for the right reasons. You know, this is basically basically a new lease on life in a
Yeah.
sense for her, and she's basically
So this is one of the things that I also feel like was over pushed.
uh-huh.
In the fact of like, and if you watch it, it kind of seems like there's this weird transition out of it.
Hmm.
That he brings that up, he says that and everything, and
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, I should have done stuff, when it was like, but you already know that there was, like, you're not the one that set the fire, you're not the
Yeah.
one that did this, but you're the one that's attempting to take responsibility. And that was one of the things I feel like is also just so far out of his character that I don't feel like it was exactly necessary
Yeah, but
or true to his character.
I could see like how I bet he could probably see how it was affecting Mio
Yeah.
in a sense. So he was trying to take responsibility for, I would say, his actions,
Yeah.
the actions
Well,
that he took.
see, and that was another thing with this situation as well. I really don't think the rest of the house she gave a fuck. Just saying, I
I
think
mean,
that
yeah.
I think she moved on because of what we got with the one episode
Hmm.
where she's talking to the maid and she's like, that's not my house. This is my house,
Yes.
talking about his home.
Yeah.
Um, I think the only thing there that was the last thing, which, touching on what you said about it earlier with the ripple, I think the only last tie that she had was the cherry tree.
No, I agree. I 100% agree
And
with that.
I totally think that the reason why it happened the way that it did when she touched it, it all kind of burned to ash and went away.
Yeah.
I think all of that was a design to basically her mom saying, like, you have to move on.
Yeah, no. That's what I totally took away from it as well.
Yeah.
And I think she takes that and moves into the next scene where Koji shows up and he's like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And we find out that he's going off to the capital, I believe, to train. And he asks her, "Hey, do you remember what I said that night, or like that one day, or whatever?" And we see him like professing that, oh, I all I wanted to do was protect you. That's all I wanted to do,
Yeah, we get
And
the flashback.
yeah, in the flashback, yeah. And she looks at him and smiles and is like, "No, I don't remember that." So I feel like she herself is trying to, I don't want to say cut ties from everybody who were in the past and just move
Yeah.
on and start anew.
So I will add to this, because this is one of the other ones leading up to another thing that I feel like,
Yeah.
that I said felt off. Whenever any of this stuff happened, she really went for kind of this whole thing, where he told her that, and it was almost like, maybe I can, we've
Yeah.
had stuff before, maybe I can have a little tie, maybe she'll come back to me, maybe I don't have to be linked to Kaya or anything, maybe
Yeah.
I can get Mio, the one that I've always wanted and everything,
Yeah.
and still be able to save her. And I think that's what he was kiting for, and politely,
She was
without
like,
without just telling him, like,
yeah.
no, she basically did the whole thing like she did with the second in command guy
Hmm.
in the military, and it was like, I'm sorry,
But
but
I'm already taken.
yeah, but she did it without saying that. She said,
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. But I
And
also go ahead.
and this is the part that I feel like leads up to that. I don't feel like Koji is the person, because you get that weird instant where you see his face, and then it's almost like in animation they completely like cut something,
Uh-huh.
because then you get like where he looks a little joyous and he's like, "Oh yeah, I must be mistaken."
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I don't feel like it's fully out of his character, but I do
I feel
feel
like
like
he was putting on an act, and he was really
and
hurt.
that little transition there, I don't feel like really fits because I was watching that part like I was like, this is weird. Like, how did it go like flipping a switch that fast? Like we've seen his character up till now, and I do agree with the wordage it would happen the way that it did, but I
Mhm.
feel like it just happened too fast in that sense. Like he
Maybe it was kind of like a
been
lost in translation type of thing.
I don't know because I mean it's really just in the art of the animation.
Well, I mean, like translation from like manga to animation.
Yeah, yeah. So
Maybe.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
in the watching it, I feel like no matter the voices, whether it was in Japanese or English
English.
or
Yeah.
anything else, I just felt like the imagery part of that was also off in
Yeah.
that sense. And that I feel like that's also something weird in this sense because usually, you know me, like I'm a stickler for, well, those words didn't match, you know, the subtitles, those words didn't match like the Japanese or whatever. It's not a one for one translation.
Yeah.
But in this, the actual art of the anime, I feel like didn't fit the moment. I
Yeah.
mean, I completely agree the words fit. I mean, there's not a loss in translation for that, I would say, but the art just seemed really weird because
Yeah.
it was like the theater mask. You know how you have the one that's kind of sad looking and then you have
Yeah.
the one that's happy? That's what I feel like the transition was. Like there wasn't this kind of like he got a little happy, he got whatever. It was this instant like, "Oh, I must be mistaken," like not, "Oh, I must be mistaken." You know,
Yeah.
like it totally didn't feel like a Koji moment from
Yeah.
what we've
Yeah.
seen so far. Um, but uh, also saying that off of what you said earlier, that might have been one of the things that they were trying to and kind of rushed it to get
Hmm.
Koji out of it, just like why the Saimoris weren't in this, why Koji's dad wasn't in this, and why Kaya didn't really seem like she had that many lines, and that Koji was in this, but he was kind of in it as a transitionary.
Well, I feel like in this particular episode,
Yeah,
the beginning very much is like fallout and repercussions
yeah,
from the previous episode.
yeah.
And then we move into the new beginning aspects of it.
I agree.
You know, like we get the scene where we see them actually like put their betrothal on paper, basically,
Yeah, to start the
to
process.
start the process, which I feel like was a little sweet, touching moment. It was just them and Yuri there. Like it was not a big fanfare at all, you know.
Well, and to add to that, there was a little part when they were walking back from the house, I think
Yeah.
to the car or something, that it actually was brought up, and then they put
Yes.
it on paper in front of Yuri.
Yeah.
So we did kind of get that whole moment real fast, and I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that because he there was this part where they were talking about Kyoka's father, I believe, and like he was the one who did the arrangement, and he Miyu says, "Oh, I guess he actually wanted Kaya instead of me." And I love the scene where Kyoka is basically like, "Yeah, I don't really care what he wants. I have what I want."
Yeah, yeah,
And he basically go fuck himself. Basically,
yeah, yeah.
is what he
Well, and
says.
and he basically said the whole thing. He's like, "Oh, like the Samoris actually don't matter. Like since this whole thing has happened, like let's just start our marriage proceedings instead of what it was before of going through the procedures
Yeah, yeah,
of involving that other family." So I
yeah,
thought that was a little funny too, because you know, Kiyoka basically did say like "fuck them."
yeah.
So
No, he did. He
that
did.
that one was pretty funny because you're like, yeah, 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 fuck them, yeah.
Fuck this. Fuck him. Fuck him.
So yeah, I mean that was really good. And we get this whole part too where she has another request, which is funny now. We've
Yes.
gotten two requests in this episode of her, and it makes me laugh from where she didn't request anything. She went from having rags, and now with Kiyoka, she is.
So with this part,
Yeah,
I was a little confused. So like we meet Kyoka's sister,
yeah,
in this episode, and I am looking for her name. I forgot what it was. Do you remember what it was?
No, it was something kind of weird because it didn't it start with a K.
Uh, and so this one part I felt was really weird with Hazuki, his sister. She shows up and she's like, "Hey, how's it going? You know, I'm Koji's sister, Kyoka's sister." And then we in this next scene, we get the scene where she asked for the requests. I feel like there was something like missed in between transitions.
I think it was just a flashback to say how it happened.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I took from that.
Because I was really confused because we go from like how I'm his sister, he doesn't talk about me, to Kiyoka and Miyo are eating, and she's like, I have a request. I want to basically become a refined lady, basically. She wants
Yeah.
to go to like etiquette school or whatever it's called, or whatever. I almost said reform school, but that's completely wrong.
Hey, I mean, I don't know if you're exactly wrong on that because she is trying to get reformed to be a housewife. So
Yeah. Which I love the scene. It's a very little touch that I actually like in this episode, where she like bows and Kyoka's like, you don't have to bow to me, which I feel like in this aspect they're equals in this relationship almost.
yeah, that's what I felt.
Yeah, which I liked that a lot actually.
Yeah,
Like,
well, and I think too that's why she asked because
yeah.
she wants to do this to feel like she's more on his level. Slash, she now will know kind of the proceedings that happen inside of the
Mhm.
house.
And he's like, "Oh, I have a person just in mind, like the right person for you." And she
And then it
doesn't.
was
He
the
doesn't.
sister, and you're like, the
Yeah, it's
hell?
it's his sister.
You're like, the hell?
Yeah, and I love the way like his sister like interacts with everybody
Yeah.
and stuff. There's a really nice touch in how like they don't just treat Yuri like another servant. She
Yeah.
almost feels like she's very much like a part of the family.
She is, I would say, almost like the spinster aunt.
Yes.
Like, she didn't really find somebody to be with, but she's playing basically the nanny.
Yeah.
And so she does all that. You know, she comes in, she handles the work, things like that. And, you know, of course, like, Mio actually covers part of her stuff too. Even though we know, like, we're not seeing it, we know that that's happening.
Yeah. She cooks for
Yeah.
everybody. I feel like.
Yeah. They probably
Yeah.
take turns. All right, you cooking tonight or am I?
And after all that happens, Mio ends up having another nightmare, and Kiyoka like wakes up in the middle of the night and goes to find her, and we see this scene where he's like, the barrier isn't broken, so he's starting to put two and two together.
Yeah.
Like, she has magical powers.
She has powers that we don't. Well, and I think that this is the third incident because, you know, we've
Yes.
had that little thing where she fell asleep before.
Yeah.
And we also had where when she touched the tree
Mm-hmm.
back at the Saimori house, I think that was two incidents, and now this is a third, and so it's really like it's setting in for him.
Yeah, and as this is all going on, we see these like, I want to call them
So,
like
so
months.
I have a question for you
Okay.
before we get too far away from
Okay.
this episode.
Okay.
So you know how they keep having these marriage things happen, like
Yeah.
Kaya and Koji
Uh-huh.
and Mio and Kiyoka and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
Who is Koji's brother, being the older one, supposed to be engaged to? You see what I'm saying? Like, we've been watching these episodes, and I'm like, so he took over the household, but he doesn't have a household name.
Well, he took over the house because nobody else could take it over.
Yeah, but it's because he's the firstborn.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, if everybody else is being proposed to and whatnot, where is his?
I'm going to throw this out there.
Okay, you're going to tell me he's gay.
Well, I was going to say that, but then he had a pretty cool kimono on, or like robe on.
Yeah.
When they were meeting the emperor or whatever it was.
When they went for the negotiation things.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, he has pretty cool like robe thing going. I'm gonna say this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say theory,
yeah,
theory.
yeah.
He's possibly going to propose to Hazuki. I feel like they would fit really well together.
I can't say that right now because
Okay.
I don't feel like there's enough stuff yet to know that. I really don't feel like
This is my
we're going.
theory. I mean, because I feel like they're both like they're not really like seem like to be like follow like the family traditions, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they're
Well,
kind
and
of
we also don't know if she's the older one between the two.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I that was going to be another question I was going to ask you is if you felt like Hazuki was the older or the younger sibling.
I don't remember. I want to say they might have said it in the show, but I
Okay.
can't remember to be honest.
See, I thought she was the younger sister,
Uh-huh.
and I'm only going to say because I feel like every girl that is under the age of 20 something doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily have any kind of a chest.
Ah.
I mean, it's kind of a weird observation, but I feel like Miss Yuri, the what was her name, Kana, the one that came to visit, that
Hana.
Hana,
Yeah.
um, uh, Kaya's mom,
Uh-huh.
and then like they all had a little bit of a chest that you knew. Everybody else, I'm like, if we didn't know any better, like they're all flat chested.
I don't know about that.
So you know, like I feel like at some age you kind of get like this little thing in
Yeah.
this, at least where it's kind of played off, like you can kind of tell, you know,
Yeah.
things. Now I do have to say on that though, even though you and I like our fan service, I do find it comforting that that doesn't play into this. Like
Yeah.
there's this big sex appeal for like a big busty character. Well, I mean, we just don't have any.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you could say like she might be like the louder character, you know,
Yeah,
like you would get in like a harem esque show, you know, the
yeah.
blonde, you
The
know,
blonde.
the blonde. But yeah, like it was interesting.
Oh, you're my sister.
The her throwing her into the dynamic of the family
Yeah.
is really interesting, and how she interacts with Kiyoka and stuff like that. Like it's a very like brother sisterly.
So go with me on this. I really feel like they had to incorporate her in there
Uh
because they
huh.
needed somebody a little more stern and younger than Yuri.
I could see that.
Because I feel like they wanted to go that way with Yuri, but they can't.
Yeah, no, no, no. I can see that. Yeah, but she's like a fun character. Like she's not like annoying at all.
Yeah, yeah,
As of this moment, you know. Um, but we do get these people out in the middle of the woods. They break a barrier, and these giant monsters come out of them, which are
yeah,
the grotesqueries.
yeah. It always
And
throws me off when they say that.
yeah, because there's a show called Grotesqueries.
Oh my gosh.
There's like a new show, and I'm like, aren't they the same type of grotesqueries?
Oh my gosh. Maybe maybe this is made by the same company and they
Maybe.
use the same words.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like the Shimigami stuff. Like they have the same monster characters, but none of the storylines are the same.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I
Yeah.
can see that. I can see that honestly.
Yeah. But when we get Kiyoka goes to talk to, I want to say it's probably one of his higher ups. I don't remember what his name is.
Uh, I don't know.
But
The higher up.
but they're talking about how the emperor or whatever had a vision basically, or premonition or whatever, and they need to go. Oh, it was the prince. It's Prince Takahito.
Prince Ali,
It's
happy
his
as
name,
you.
and he apparently had a vision, and they're going to basically go like meet with him.
Yeah.
And they also find out that a place called the Grave got hit.
Yeah, which was this thing that we saw where it was the big thing that got split and
Yeah.
the grotesqueries were coming out.
Yes. Which I feel starts the next story arc.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I like we were talking about before with the last episode. I think there's that transition where they tried to mulligan and take everything basically off the board,
Mm-hmm.
and then set it up for new characters to be there.
Yeah. No. I agree. I agree. They basically throw everything out the window, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, okay, we're moving on. We're moving, which I don't think is bad. I don't think it's bad because I don't want this anime to like flounder, and have like kind of slow parts. Like
yeah,
I think like it's one of those shows that needs to keep moving forward. It's,
yeah. I don't fully know on some things like that because like moving forward, like most of the other stories or manga that we've read or anything else like that,
yeah,
like there's usually kind of like that pivotal moment where there's some characters left in, and maybe they don't play like that big of a role, but they're there, and they're there.
yeah,
And they kind of did a little bit of that with Koji going off and with Kaya
hmm
going off. That we would see them again, but usually you have some other characters that are still like in the mix of it that are those this is what elevates this other character to a higher thing because of whatever. This
yeah.
is I feel like one of the first anime slash manga I've seen slash read where they did basically clear the whole board.
Yeah,
You know, uh,
which I feel is fine. I
yeah,
don't 100% hate that.
right, right.
Um,
We'll just all I can say on that is we'll have to see how it plays out.
yeah, no, most definitely.
Because I think one of the only things in the wheelhouse that will make this bad for me is if we get this weird transition where, like, out of nowhere, Koji and Kaya come back, and it's like, okay, well, now they're back, and like we have like completely weird characters and things like that, and like we don't know what's going on. So
I will.
I have no idea.
I do agree with that. Like, I feel like they should keep him off the board for a while.
Yeah,
Um, but one thing I feel like has to happen. There needs to be a fucking marriage in this show.
right.
Like, they need to get married.
Watch. It'll be that show where like the very last book or episode is when they get married because of all the other things that happen in between that.
Probably.
Oh god, that would be stupid.
Yeah, because I would like to see him like in married life,
Yeah, yeah,
and how that works out for him.
yes, yes.
But
Um,
you know,
yeah, and of course we get where they go out to town and everything else like that. Like that, I feel like is one of the best transitional parts for Mio, is because we do get to see a lot of how she's grown by how she interacts with the town in general.
yeah,
It didn't matter who she goes with, but we went from her not going to town at all into her kind of being scared of town into all this other stuff to now her going and not even thinking about it. So I mean, she's made a lot of growth.
yeah, most
Um,
definitely.
but we get a couple parts where we have this whole thing where like her spirit powers are kind of coming into play.
Hmm.
She dreams, and there's somewhat kind of sort of nightmares slash. She has almost like a weird daydream kind of
What
situation.
she's dreaming of the grotesqueries.
See, and I question that because like as far as we've known of what these things are supposed to be, there's some kind of monsters, and
Well, they're actually we
I
can we
really,
can
I really wonder if these are any kind of past people, like they're almost like ghosts instead
they
of
are
monsters.
they are in the next we I was about to get into
Yeah,
is in the next episode at the beginning they start talking about the grave and how it's basically a grave basically
yeah.
to lock in, like, if I remember correctly, like magic users who have died and who have become like evil spirits.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I thought that it was more of like the thing in like Ghostbusters, you know, that they put all the ghosts in.
Eh, kind of,
So
kind of a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, but yeah, we find that out, and we also see Kiyoka and the other guy and Koji's brother.
'Cause-
Yeah, Koji's brother. They go to basically the. I don't want to say if it's like the emperor or the prince. They go see the prince, which I was like, I thought they were going to go see the emperor,
yeah,
but it turns out to be the prince, and they know them basically, which is really interesting to think about or hear. And I love this little interaction. Like Koji's brother is like repenting for like what his family did,
yeah,
and he's very like apologetic and stuff. And we find out that basically the prince has a vision, and the vision is of the grotesqueries like invading the land,
yeah, yeah.
is what I remember correctly.
So let me throw you a curveball.
Okay.
Do you think that Koji's brother will be involved in this at all as an enemy per se with the prince? Because we already know that that's the way that this is going. Um, or do you think that because of the whole thing, like as the family as a whole, this is the growing period where he will become an ally to Kiyoka?
I think it's the latter half, because later on we do see him with
The
a
ally.
dead body,
Okay.
and he's like helping them out, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am still up in the air on that. I'm not sure if there is going to be
So
anything for him to. I don't know if he's going to be a part-time ally and then swap or
if
anything like that.
if he does, it'll be if he swaps, it'll be a very pleasant surprise.
It'll be a red herring.
It'll be a red herring because
Yeah.
in all honesty, like the only bad person we've seen in his family so far is his dad.
Yeah.
So I have no idea. Like, I mean, I know he
Well,
was kind of like a little bit of a dick to his brother, but I mean, feel like that's like a brother thing you do.
yeah.
You force
Well,
choke him. You force choke him. That's what you know.
well, and the other thing is, honestly, if we really wanted a deep dive, I feel like that could be a whole nother episode in and of itself.
Yeah.
But was the dad honestly really a bad guy if he was trying to figure out a way to hold in something that's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like sacrifice the one to save the many. I felt like I'm not going to say he wasn't in the wrong, but after we got that whole little scene where it was the emperor and he's like, such and such failed, now we have to worry about that, you know, let's go on
Yeah.
our move for Miyo.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I can't tell you that him making the choice that he did was essentially all evil, or if it was
Mhm.
for the benefit of some of mankind in some kind of way.
I think it was a benefit for his self and his family.
I don't know. Only time will tell.
Only time will tell, and we'll find out. I hope he's dead. Just saying.
I don't think he's dead.
But we get this, and we see the prince. He congratulates Kiyoka on his engagement,
Yeah,
and he tells him like a very cryptid, like I don't say like vision he might have for Kiyoka.
yeah,
I don't remember exactly what he said, but Kiyoka takes it to heart. And then we move on when we see Mio, and I'm going to kind of gloss over this part, I feel like. But Mio basically is doing the etiquette training,
yeah,
which is it's fun to see. It's not bad. Like I love her interactions with Hazuki and stuff like that. And then we get this one interesting one where they're sitting at the table talking, and she's like been learning how to like walk in a dress and how to like smile properly and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
We get this one scene, and I feel like it's very telling to where um, Hazuki is like, hey, there's something I want to talk about. It's the way you talk to me. Like, don't call me miss. If you can, call me sister, which Miyu can't do. Like, she tries, and she has like this weird gargly flashback, like, dear sister,
Yeah,
which
she has a PTSD moment.
yeah, she has PTSD from it, and which is really interesting in how she goes about dealing with that. Like, she doesn't like kind of dwell on it for very long, but she's like, "Hey, can I just call you by your first name?"
Yeah,
That's all I really want to do and whatnot. And we get these very cryptic. Well, after that, we get like it's probably not cryptic, but we meet a new-ish character, and
yeah.
his name is Arata. And Arata is the guy who basically works for the Emperor,
He's
kind of.
evil. He's evil.
He's evilish. We don't know what his full intentions are. We just know he has to get Miyu. But he's like, he works for the Emperor, but he's like, I don't want to say like a go between or like a gopher. Like, I
He's
don't want to
the
say
he's the one that makes shit happen.
he makes shit happen, basically.
Yeah.
And he goes to talk to Kiyoka. I don't remember what he talks to him about. Do you remember what he talks to him about?
No.
I mean, I don't either. I don't either.
Like part of this part is a blur, and like you're covering some things. And I'm like, I kind of remember a little bit. To me, it was like we had the etiquette part.
Uh-huh.
They went to town, and then she had that little feigning spell where she was looking and thought it was
Oh, now I remember.
Kiyoka.
He was discussing the investigation that's going
Okay.
on at the moment.
Yeah.
And they start talking and whatnot, which is just a ploy to get Miyu, I feel like, in his path.
Yeah.
And they start talking and whatnot, and we see Miyu and Hazuki, doing their womanly etiquette thing,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I gotta be honest, a lot of this episode was kind of a blur, as like you said as well, and I don't feel like I feel like stuff happened, but stuff didn't happen.
Yeah.
Um,
So I will say that that is one of the biggest problems I have with this anime is that there are so many things that feel like they run together.
yes,
Because I mean, almost every episode we've recorded, you and I have both said that
this feels
either
like it could be one episode.
yeah, it could be one episode. It feels like it ran together. Like the only way that we know that we're covering one episode is because we're not watching it back to back.
Yeah,
We gotta break it up into shows. I mean, if we were going to sit there and actually cover this whole thing, I feel like we would be at a loss for saying this was this episode and this was this episode.
yeah, you
Uh,
know,
but the other thing is, at least we've enjoyed them. This
yes,
one, towards the end, I felt like everything is drained out of it so much, and I don't know if it's because of the story transition or what, but like the end of this, like I am just lost. Like I felt like it was a complete blur until we got to the part where she fainted and she thought Kiyoka had caught her, and it was that other guy.
yeah. It's very much I feel like it's very much in a transition period,
Yeah,
because after we have like the middle part, we see Kiyoka and uh, Arata. Arata's at like looking at a cherry blossom tree. He's like, "Oh, stuff is about to happen," and I'm like, "Okay, well, what stuff is about to happen? What's going on, Arata?" It's very vague, like what he is actually going to do and what he wants to do or
yeah,
has to
yeah,
do, basically, which I'm very confused about. Like, he's like a big fucking snake in the grass, and nobody notices it at all.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but we get the
He's
scene.
he's a bad character because his name has rot in it.
Yeah, it is rotten it. But we get this scene where Kiyoka is out with his men near the grave, basically, to go check it out, and they basically almost get taken out by all the grotesqueries and stuff. But luckily, they do get away, which is good to see.
Yeah.
And we get this one scene that's actually pretty cool where Hazuki is talking with Miyo
Mhm.
about how Kiyoka works a lot lately, and Miyu's okay with that. Like she's fine with it.
Yeah.
Even but I mean, she's. I feel like they spend a lot of time apart as well.
Yeah.
It seems like,
I agree.
um, but which is interesting to see. Like how I want to know how much time they actually spend together. Like
I don't know. I don't know if that's something we're actually supposed to know.
what's the alone to not alone ratio?
I don't know. I don't know if we're actually supposed to know that. I think it's written where we're not. It's supposed to seem like a blur
Yeah, but
because obviously, like we're watching it and we're like, yeah, we're only 4 episodes in. It hadn't been that
yeah,
long.
yeah, it's been that
When
long.
when I really feel like most of the stuff that is happening and how it happened, we're at like a 6 month period, like
Yeah,
something like we're at 6 months to a year. I mean,
hmm
all this stuff's happened. We don't exactly know what's happened, but I mean, we do know that there is some kind of a gestation period of where and when you can get married, and of course, like all this other stuff. And I really feel like that's part of what this is doing.
yeah,
In that sense, we just haven't seen like a season change.
yeah, and it's interesting. Like, so I like the scene where they're fighting the grotesqueries. It's really cool and creepy.
Yeah,
Um, which they do destroy them, I believe. But we get this scene as well with name who's Koji's brother's name?
Kazu.
Kazu, where
Yeah,
he's actually like trying to read the dead body,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he gets the vision of what Mio is getting
yeah,
in her
yeah.
nightmares, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can't deal with this power. It's so like immense." And
See, and this is one thing I'm confused about because we are getting all these things of what people's powers are,
mhm.
and I'm like, how does all of Koji's family like have like Jedi powers, and now it's like, no, our real power is this being able to like do this stuff, and I'm like, well, then where did the dad's firepower still come
Yeah,
from? Like, that the thing with power and all that other stuff, I am so confused about.
I am too, but I mean, I feel like eventually it'll probably be explained. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or not. Or not. And we also get the scene where Kiyoka is meeting up with his like spy information guy.
yeah,
And we find out that like nobody has like the Usaba name. Like nobody's using it. They can't find any like relatives.
yeah, yeah,
The only person who was using it was Miyu's mom. And which kind of worries, I feel like Koji, like, what's he gonna do basically?
yeah,
In a sense, not Koji, Kiyoka, sorry,
yeah,
Kiyoka. Like, because it's up, like, it's a big mystery. Like, what happened? Like, why did she die? Why did they get married? Like,
yeah, yeah.
because everybody wants the Usaba bloodline.
Right,
Like, they're
right.
so powerful and like regarded. Um,
But we have nobody to go off
but
of.
we have nobody to go off of.
Yeah, I feel like that's another thing that wasn't exactly fully thought out with this because we have nothing.
As of right now, we have nothing.
And I feel like they're trying to play that as like gotcha, at some point. But to me, I feel like that's what's going to cripple part of
And
this.
we have the end scene where Miyu and Hazuki and Yuri are walking out in the town, and Miyu basically like has an episode and like faints,
Yeah,
but she kind of daydreams and thinks Kyoka is there, but he's not.
right.
Which I'm like, oh god, here we go again. Plant the seeds for deceit. Like, here's the next big bad. I feel like is Arata.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but let me ask you, like, all in all, What did you think of these 2 episodes?
The first one I thought was really good.
I
Aside
agree.
from
I agree with that.
those few kind of fakey parts,
Uh huh.
that was it. Um, this one though, the first half I could go, yeah, it was really good. The second half, like I said, is just all a blur. You're talking about them going to fight the grotesque. I'm like, I don't even remember happening. Like, I have no idea.
So I do feel like with the second episode, episode 8,
Yeah,
it does falter a little bit, but I did like the little touches of like Miyu trying to do the etiquette stuff
yeah,
and whatnot. Like that was fun to see her try to evolve as a person,
yeah,
almost like westernize herself. Because there was a scene where she's holding like a knife and a fork, trying to figure it out, which I thought was really funny
yeah.
to see. It was cute. It was cute.
Yeah. I mean, that goes with that because that's
Yeah,
Western culture in that day and age was
yeah.
higher culture, I guess you could say.
Because she's supposed to be. We didn't talk about this, but she's supposed to be preparing for a party.
She's trying to prepare to be a lady.
A lady for a party at the end of the month,
Yeah,
which she has goals. I like that, and she's driven. She's determined to become a lady, even though
yeah.
technically she is a lady. Uh,
Well, in this sense, lady means like your title.
yeah, I know. No, she's like a madam now, I believe, because she got engaged.
I know, but she's trying to be a lady,
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And all in all, like I did enjoy these episodes.
yeah,
I am still interested to see where we go from here.
yeah.
I do feel like I said, the second episode faltered a little bit.
So, what would you rate these?
I would still give it a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Like, I'm
For
still
me,
invested in the story.
I'm still invested, but I'm gonna say because I know we've been giving it fives across the board
Yeah,
on everything, but on this one, I feel like I'm gonna have to go 4.5.
I mean
If
that's
it
fine.
was
That's
if it
fine.
was the first one, I feel like it would hold a 5,
Yeah,
but the second one, I just felt like it there's stuff about it that I feel like got me disengaged from it,
I can see
where
that.
I just couldn't enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that aspect.
Yeah,
But I liked where the story is possibly going.
hopefully.
Because, like, I like that they took all the old bad guys off the table.
Yeah,
Like, they're gone. Like, so that's like, okay, what's next? I want to know what's next to come.
yeah.
You know. But yeah, it was good. But what's your special
My
announcement?
special announcement. You ready? Really ready?
Okay.
So, for everybody listening out there, I have been working on a special project, especially for my co-host, and it's also for all of you guys out there. I hope that we'll add to it, and it will be a continuous thing. But I almost kind of made a special records thing that people can go, and I fully intend to bomb the shit out of it, regardless of views or anything else. Because honestly, uh, I work with one of the best guys doing the podcast, and has been my friend forever. And we had this thing that we talked about, and so I made the decision, and I've been working diligently and hard on it. But pull your phone out.
My phone is out.
Yeah. All right. So go to Instagram.
Okay, hold on.
And if you guys are listening to the show, you guys can do the same. So this is
Hold on.
immortalized.
Hold on. What am I looking for?
All right. Go to the search,
Uh huh.
type in otakuology,
Hold on. Otaku. Okay.
underscore
Underscore
2, TO.
T2.
Yeah, TO.
Uh huh.
Underscore
Hold on. TO underscore
go.
to go.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Did you click on it?
Yes.
So as of now, there are 305 posts of that of different things that me and Mike have been sending to each other and whatnot of different stupid ideas that we've done. And we talked about it, and I decided that I would basically do that and immortalize it. So I was waiting to get up to at least 300 before I told you about it, so that
what's the one where it looks like we're cowboys and there's like a woman standing in between us?
That was supposed to be one of there just being a sexy woman in between us. So I've basically been taking all the ones that you've been sending me / all the ones that I've been doing in secret and posting them into that.
It's fun. Okay, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So it's immortalized, kind of, sort of. And I thought it was really funny because the last time we had a show, last week when we were recording, and go, we've been doing this. What are we going to do with it? And I was like, I've already been doing this because I'd already started working on it. So if you guys want to, and you don't have to comment, you don't have to put anything on it or anything, you can like it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But me and Mike, I plan will still be uploading those on there. But you go to Otakuology to go, and it's all these corny, cheesy things and different art styles and whatnot of me and Mike, either as robots, aliens, dinosaurs, cowboys, knights, running away from kaiju, or with extra appendages coming out of us. Because sometimes there's a random finger and arm.
I love the angry woman for our thumbnail.
So that was the one that started all off, and I was like, oh my god, do I ever tell you or just let you stumble upon it? And you go, this was that one picture you sent me, Jacob. The very first time I told you I tried making us a logo. And I was like, I'm putting this up as the main thing. So
that's fun. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So, hopefully, like I said, we'll add to it, and it'll, in no time we'll be at 500 and 1,000 and things like that. And just have all this shit,
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's fun. I love it.
So, yeah. Now you can ask Otaku Tiff about it, because I actually told her the other day, I was like, when do I tell him about this? and I didn't get an answer back, so I was like, you know what? No, I've hit my goal of 300, and we'll go from there. So
I'm gonna have so many more I haven't sent you.
I know. That's why, like, every time I was like, Mike, you got any other ones? You're like, yeah, they're not so good though. And I'm like, God damn it! How do I go? Hey, I need you to download everything. That's why I said that so many times. Download everything, and
maybe I'll try to make like a Google Drive or something and put them all on there.
So I gotta hook you up and give you the access to get into that, because I expect that we'll add many, many more to that, and it's a hot gimmick for Otakuology. So
it's a hot gimmick. Is that what it is?
Definitely a hot gimmick. Hopefully people will just go, Otakuology to go, what the fuck? So
I like the ones where we look like we're claymation.
I like those ones too.
Those are kind of fun.
Now, I will say there are some things that I do agree with some of the last times that we talked about.
Yeah.
There's similarities, even though, like, you can throw stuff in a room, and no matter how many times, you're going to get works of art that look very, very similar. But if you focus on some of them, I think it's really funny how there's just something that's a little different in everything.
Yeah.
Even if they look like they're exactly the same picture.
Yeah. So, no, I agree.
So, yeah, there's a bunch of crazy, cheesy stuff, and 305 posts.
305 posts and only one follower.
Is there one follower?
It's me, the podcast.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Who followed that? I checked earlier. Nobody was following it. The hell? So, yeah, guys. So if you guys want to follow that, check out Hot Gimmicks of me and Mike. 305 so far to be accounted for, and stay tuned for more. Then you can guys go and check out Otakuology to go, because I also believe that we will be posting some of these or tagging it and adding it to stories and things like that for everybody to laugh at. So.
Also, check out our Instagram page, Otakuology Podcasts. Check out our episodes on all major podcast platforms. We're on YouTube as well. Otakuology Podcast. Rate and review the podcast. Tell your friends. Share the episodes. Hope you guys are enjoying our coverage of My Happy Marriage. I know I have yet to have a happy marriage, but that's okay.
That's stupid. I hate you for that.
Um,
And also a thing that we have to pimp out now is Otakuology _2_go. Yeah, so that's a new pimp we can throw out there
sure, yeah,
for everybody.
yeah.
But of course, as always, how we like to end our show, see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.